Join us on stage. Let's give them some chairs to sit on. See you soon.
Give me the right one.
Wow, what an introduction, Viktor, right?
Yes, exactly.
So maybe let's start with our hobbies. So I hope that the audience already have guessed who does the Muay Thai and who does the kiteboarding here.
I do a bit of Muay Thai. I used to do a lot more when I was younger. I'm in my early 40s, so I've never tried. I lived in Australia for a fair few years, but I never tried surfing. My wife told me that if I do Muay Thai, I cannot do surfing, so I had to pick one side.
Nice. Did you know that you can surf in Latvia? In Liepaja, we have a Baltic Sea, so there is a possibility. So everybody, please come to Liepaja if you are around. Okay, today, Viktor, I will start with the warming up question about BlockBen. Please tell me what is Hungarian-rooted company that received this first MiCA license in Latvia and the second in Baltics? Only the first was received by the Robin Hood, which is also huge, but BlockBen was the second one in Baltics and first in Latvia. And tell me more what your company is doing and what technology is behind the BlockBen.
Okay, so we started this crypto business 8 years ago. I'm just trying to find. The idea came in 2017 as I was introduced. My best friend from childhood, he dragged me into this idea of entering the crypto space. Back in 2017 or early 2018, it was a very different time for crypto. Our idea was to start an institution, start a business which is very pro-regulation, and we want to get under some type of regulation. I'm sure if you're not deeply in the crypto space for that length of time, you have not experienced what was it to start a business 8 years ago in crypto. So there was no regulation Europe-wide. There were a couple member states, like Estonia, that had some type of legislation through a registration mechanism to start collecting some of the crypto companies. And initially, everyone around us said, "We are stupid. Why you guys want to do regulated and why you want to do crypto by the book?" And I said, one way or the other, I think that's going to be the way. And that's how we got into it 8 years ago. And our core business, we do some minor things, but our core business is issuing. So we create cryptocurrencies for companies. We have our infrastructure for that, and we are assisting some of these companies to bring the product to the market. But there's various needs on why people want to have crypto and why a company would like to have a crypto. So we're not in the Bitcoin space, so to say. We're not trading. We are not doing an OTC or anything like that. We are actually issuing cryptos for companies.
Maybe you can share some examples of the companies who you've been assisting in creating their own cryptos.
Today, yes, we have a lot more companies that want to crypto issue than we can service, so that's a good position to be in. We put a lot of scrutiny on which projects we take on, because we get a lot of inquiries for early stage companies or early stage startups to have a crypto, which we usually avoid for numerous reasons. But the best clients we have, and I think the most interest is coming from technology companies that have been on the market and they want to introduce a crypto for their ecosystem. We have a vending machine franchise company, a pretty large one, Hungarian and Australian owned, that they want to have a cryptocurrency introduced to their ecosystem, to their vending machines, to their franchise business as well. Our first issuance under our MiCA license was a Latvian company, which is a crowdfunding company that they have. It's Crowded Hero, and it's a great token for them as well. We have a lot of property companies, which you have not seen yet, but you will see, I think, next week the details on how to work around a real estate-based token, not making it a asset reference token. So that's basically a variety of companies from numerous sectors. So it's not only technology, but we like traditional companies for crypto.
30 years ago, almost nobody were interested in crypto, but today everybody in finance are talking about that. Maybe can you share what happened during those 30 years in the industry? Why everybody now really see the future there?
Yeah. So I see that from technologically, there were a lot of attempts prior to Bitcoin coming up. That was 17 years ago, I think, 17 years ago. Initially, it was a Wild West, as somebody just said on stage previously. It was a Wild West for cryptocurrencies, and basically, it was a method to use some type of fundraising or some type of projects. It was a variety of projects, but it was not clear. It was a gray area from a lot of perspectives, I think. And and I'm looking at my experience for 8 years, the more the time have passed, the stronger the regulatory requirements became, not only with the MiCA regulation, but what happened on the market, I think, and that started filtering the market out, is anyone who is involved in cryptocurrencies, you will, back 4 years ago, even 5 years ago, the supporting infrastructure was very, very pedantic to take on. Banks, so if you want to have a bank account for a crypto company, you need to be spot on as a crypto company, otherwise you're not going to have a bank account. If you don't have a bank account, it means that you don't have a euro balance. And if you look around and look at crypto companies you've seen in the last decade, how many of them would have had a euro balance? And that's only a few percent. But the reason behind it is because those were the companies like us who were playing by the book. And I think the more the time have passed, the more the structure of the crypto market have changed. So we do a lot of trainings around this, and basically what happened, say in 2015, 2016, and 2017, you had a variety of services with crypto which were shifting towards regulated services. So a lot of the companies today who are dealing with crypto most of the cases would have some type of another financial license. You're a fund, you're a bank, you are an investment firm, whatever, and crypto is shifting towards there. And I think the more the regulation came in, the more of the institutional money actually started floating into the crypto ecosystem and make it more wide and make it more mainstream. And we find it is mainstream now. So there are numerous estimates, but approximately 11–12% of the European Union population would have something to do with crypto already, whereas it was around 1% 8 years ago.
Yeah. I noticed also JP Morgan, which is one of the largest US banks, have launched already their own tokens that are backed by deposits. So I think this shows the traditional bank is also going in this direction. And yesterday I listened to the podcast with European Central Bank head Christine Lagarde, and she said that she's not convinced of the business case of stablecoins. And stablecoins are the crypto assets that are referenced to the national currencies, for example, USDC, USDT, we know. What do you think about that?
About her statement or about
Yes, about her statement that she doesn't believe in the stablecoins.
I'm very careful making statements as a regulated institution about certain things. Obviously, I can only say good or nothing. But being serious, I think I do believe in stable coins. But I think there's an existing infrastructure that has a lot of interest to remain in pace. So I would not only look at stable coins, but I would look at global payment infrastructures, looking at SEPA, looking at SWIFT, and looking at anything that you find smaller ones in Asia. There's a lot of challenges towards these systems because they get very political, these payment systems. And if you look at any hubs in the world, Europe, Asia, United States as well, they're looking at options how to come up with a new infrastructure that runs on stablecoins, for example, or what she might have been referring to, CBDCs. So national banks are issuing their own tokens, which is I partially believe it can work, but I would tend to agree with her that it still needs a lot of development and reasons why to do it. I think so. It's a complex matter, so I don't think it's that easy to judge whether it's a good or bad thing.
Yeah, because she grounded her statement because of the volumes that have flattened out during recent months. So, but let's move to the Latvian angle and Baltic angle. So, why did a non-Latvian company chose Latvia for setting up her MiCA business?
Yeah, we've been active in the Baltics for 8 years. So, as I said initially, we started working in Estonia. We own a regulated institution in Lithuania, and we were operating out of Lithuania for a while. So I know each Baltic state is very different, but still, looking at the region from a population perspective, from a political perspective, they are kind of close. Looking at a regulated institution, I think there is numerous factors you have to take into account when you're looking at where to go, how to obtain a license. I think you need a welcoming environment, which we definitely found here from a central bank, so Latvia's bankas perspective, a political perspective. And in Latvia, I think there's a very good supporting infrastructure, including your law firm as well, because no matter what, if you're in regulated financial space, you will have a lot of legal work. So you need to have legal professionals that are very strongly tied to the business, and they are experienced and known on the market, as well as have a reputation to be able to work with regulators. And I think that's probably one of the top priorities. From a regional perspective, I think there's a lot of innovation in the region. There's a lot of talent that we find. And touch wood, but it appears that we are pretty good with hiring locally. It's a lot easier and a lot better than, for example, Lithuania or even Hungary. So there's a very good talent pool, I think. And the supporting infrastructure, including banks, including, as I said, law firms like yours, that creates an environment that can make, I think, a whole sector flourish and grow.
Thanks. It's amazing to hear. But maybe you can share, how do you think, what should Latvia and Baltics should do more if we want to attract more founders and investors in fintech field? What should we do more here to attract more talent, more fintechs, more investors?
I think keep doing what you guys have been doing in the last 6 months. I think just keep doing it because it appears it works well, I think, and don't stop it. I think the major stakeholders for fintech and for regulation, I heard it from, it took 2 years for Latvia's banka to prepare internal stuff for licensing regimes to be able to manage, and I think that was a great approach how to do it, because they had, according to them, they built up an internal talent pool as well to be able to work with newcomers and potential licensees, which I think worked great, so we have a very positive experience with them. But just keep doing it and promote it, because I think Latvia and Riga, the city itself is a hidden gem, which first time I was in Riga was 8 years ago, and I was here in 2024 a couple of times, but last year, 2025, I was here 18 times. So, and
a lot has changed, right?
Yeah, yes, people are nice. I think the environment is friendly, and Riga is still a hidden gem. It's a
And isn't it important we have Air Baltic and direct connections, or?
I'm not flying. You get me back. Okay, I'm not flying Air Baltic that often. Yeah?
Okay, sorry.
I usually fly with what I was told is I usually fly with late or tomorrow. I fly with LOT, yeah, but they never left me behind. So
for people
good connection.
For people who don't know so much the regulatory and do not follow the law, please maybe explain why this license is important and how complicated it was to get it.
So I'm not trying to deep dive into regulation, but basically what happened on the market was under the MiCA regime, anyone who was operating a crypto company within the European Union has to obtain this license, depending on which country they are from. So the European Union allowed 18 months for transition, and out of the 18 months, like Hungary allowed 6 months for the transition, and some other countries a year, or some other countries a year and a half, the maximum length. So in order to operate, you need to have this license. And that's it, there's nothing around it. If you want to have a crypto company in the EU, you need to obtain a MiCA license. If you don't have it, then you are basically, depending on the jurisdiction, you're committing a criminal offense for sure, because you're running unlicensed activities. But some states like Hungary or France, for example, would have additional measures as well on the top of MiCA regime to make it regulated as much they can. It gets an argument whether it's an overkill or not, so that's what it does. So if you have this license, you can operate in the European Union, and it opens a lot of doors as well.
Yeah, many think that regulation can kill startup speed. And what did the process actually tested in you as a founder, co-founder of BlockBen?
We've been through a lot of licensing ourselves. So as having an electronic money institution as well did help us, I think, with the licensing process. A lot of support from you as well, a lot of knowledge. But it was, being fair, it was new for everyone involved, I think, obtaining a license like this and going through the process. I trust my staff, so I think I have a very good senior staff that's running our business, including the licensing and including the compliance measures. But it's a journey. So I still hear people saying that, okay, they go to a jurisdiction and they obtain a MiCA license in a couple of months. I say, best of luck. And whatever, I'm a bit skeptical. But I think that, and that did change on the market. So looking at the regulation itself, and you were asking about founders and startups, I agree partially that some of the startups and some of the smaller companies, actually most of the small companies would say it's an overkill. And it's a hard thing to obtain a MiCA license. But if you look at the whole intent of the regulation, obviously it wanted to make big players get into crypto space easy, like banks, which is good for us because we see that the crypto will stay and it will grow. So it's a very good sign. But whoever is small on the market and whoever is a technological element on the market, then they will find it hard to see whether they can obtain a license themselves. But I think there's a lot of room. So I think on the market itself, 96% of the market participants are out of the market under the existing status quo, but there is a lot of space available and a lot of room in the supply chain around licensed companies. So if you're a technology company as a startup and you deal with blockchain, I don't think you should be worried that there is a hefty regulation in place. Find an institution and work with an institution who does have a MiCA license or a bank, and then it will, I think, change the game completely.
I think from my perspective, the process was pretty fast for the first time, also for the regulator to go through this experience. And when we submitted the official documents in June, you got the license in the beginning of December. But of course, there was preparation before the June done. But what was the hardest thing in the whole process for you?
We had time pressure, which nobody wants to hear about, and we kept it to ourselves. But running an existing business out of a jurisdiction where you know that the game is over at the end of December, and I'm not sure how much experience you have with regulators, but we never do it, but we've seen some players don't try to put time pressure on a regulator because it's not going to help. It's going to be counterproductive. So the time pressure was a bit, I think, stressy. It took us, like, we get this question sometime, and I think it took us 8 years to obtain such license because you need a regulator that sits down with you and wants to give you a license in the end. So looking at the whole process itself, how to go through it, with all, it was like a couple of weeks shy of a year, but the technical process might have been only like 5-6 months, whatever. But overall, I would say it's a year because with all the pre-lodgement meetings and all the preliminary meetings, everything, it will take up to a year or even more, provided you have a business model. Yeah. But looking at financial licensing, it's a fast thing.
Yeah, for the first license, I think it's amazing. It's very fast because usually it's more than 1 year for any other company.
Yeah, whatever you do, exactly. It can be years, in the end.
Yeah. So did becoming the regulated by BlockBen slowed you down somehow, or actually made you stronger?
I think we were fortunate enough that we were pro-regulation right from the beginning, having an electronic money institution as well in the operation. I'm not saying there was nothing new to us because there's a lot of new elements, but from the logic, it's very close to a MiFID. I don't want to get into the... So
the second most complicated license out there after the bank is MiFID.
So MiFID. So doing investments and stuff. So there's a lot of things that you find in this regulation, which you have to look at it. So from a complexity perspective, I just looked at the documentation. You have to provide around, like with our business model, we were looking at 140 different documents, and it's over 6,000 pages. And you can't chat GPT it. You will hear stories from the Latvia's Banka as well. So imagine that you have to design 150 documents, but it's not the documents itself. You need to run a company in accordance with the documentation that you are providing from a policies and procedures perspective. And you need to design these policies and procedures and make sure that you're running in accordance with it. Or if you want to change it, that's fine, but you need to make sure that you coordinate it with the regulator. And that's, but it wasn't that bad that we initially thought would be. I'm not saying it was easy, but yeah. And finally obtaining a license on 3rd of December, obviously it put us on a map, it put us on a different map, put it this way.
Where? But how do you think Europe is over-regulating compared to Asia, US?
No. Some people will say yes, but I don't think it is. Compared to GDPR regulation 8 years ago, when GDPR came out, everybody said that you cannot run a business in the European Union anymore because GDPR is so strict with data protection measures that you cannot operate a business. And just wait a couple of years, and it's basically the gold standard on data protection and your data. Like, it's very different what you experience in the United States. Initially, it said it's an overkill, but I think it's a great standards with GDPR, and I think the same thing will happen with MiCA.
Yeah, that was one topic discussed when Epstein files were released, because some GDPR clauses would protect maybe from public disclosure of some sensitive information.
I could jump to a conclusion, but I will keep it to myself on stage. Okay.
This is not the topic we were discussing. And how do you think does the regulation helps to separate builders from opportunists? And I think you mentioned about that implementing MiCA killed around 90%. 96%.
Who counts?
Crazy, yeah. So how do you think whether it helps to distinguish between the opportunists?
I think so. Crypto. Looking at the regulation is straightforward. Crypto services are financial services. It's not a technology game. It has a very strong technological base. It runs on technology. It runs on blockchains. We have our own blockchain as well. We have a blockchain system that's designed for the financial industry. We had to do it. That's for the most money we ever spent on anything. It's ridiculous, but it's running at version 3. And you are able to run a regulated financial institution on our blockchain-based core banking engine, which is we're pretty proud of it. It's a very expensive pride, but so that's something from a technology part. I think if you're a founder, you need to find how you would like to take part in the whole supply chain in the crypto space. Because if you're a builder and if you want to have a small startup, I would not encourage you to look for a MiCA license, provided you don't have financial services background. From a reputation perspective, from a knowledge perspective, you need deep pockets, unfortunately, and from these aspects. And the regulators are very, very picky who they let on. But I think there's a lot of room around the licensed companies, and if you look at all the large ones, there's a lot of development in place, and you can work with them, I think, greatly.
Would you say that fintech regulated business is the same capital-intense business as running a bank?
I'm trying to avoid running a bank because but on a scale, we had this a couple of months ago. No, it was like a month ago. There was an event with Latvia's Banka, and somebody was arguing that somebody was saying that they had to do like an additional legal opinion or something, and it was like an 8,000 euro, and they were complaining about it. And I said, listen, if you cannot afford 8,000 additional euros in a MiCA licensing and a crypto operation, then don't get into it. And I'm not trying to sound cocky with it, but you need deep pockets with it, and it's a financial institution. There's no nice way to put it. So we have multiple entities. We have obviously the regulated entity, but we have an entity in Lithuania. We have an entity in Hungary as well. And you need a lot of people to run a business like this. And somebody needs to pay for it.
Yeah. So how you fund the company? Are you considering attracting VC, private equity?
I think we are past that point. Yes. So when we started the business in 2018, we started out of our own capital. We had other business ventures. We still have, and we had other businesses as well, which are at that time we were more profitable than BlockBen. And then we looked at raising funds. We looked at raising funds twice. So if anybody's, we could not do it because it was bad timing. One is this damn war, and that obviously shut down everything in the region for finance and for these things. And then we looked at some external funding. I think it was like 2019-ish, but it did not work. And we were pushed into a position where we had to make the company work of our own funds, which I think was, turns out, and thank God for this, it was great because we have 100% ownership over the company. And we were pushed in to make it, the whole business smarter and leaner financially as well. Because I've never had the opportunity or the liberty to have heaps of investor money. And obviously, everybody is saying that's not how they approach it, but we never had any investment in, and I'm glad. We might look at something like that down the track, but it's not on our agenda. So we have, for scale up, probably, but it's not a major issue today.
And I think for the regulator, it's very complicated to explain what is venture capital and what are the source of funds, because everything should be proved to the central banks.
Yeah.
But I hope we will educate them soon more on that.
Yeah.
And what is life after the license? What is the reality? So one is this huge event, you got the license, but you should live with it.
Yeah. The platforms got pretty strict, both Apple and Google, so it took us, after license, like, I'm not even sure I've told you this, but it took us almost 8 weeks to go live with our app, and we had to convince Apple.
But it's fast with Apple. I know that for the banks to get Apple Pay, it's even longer.
Yeah, but you need to get operational, and we wanted to assure business continuity, which we were unable to for a couple of months, which is very, very unhealthy for us, but it is what it is. So we had to spend over almost 2 months to convince Apple that we're allowed to provide. They had no problem with the app. Basically, the thing was we had to convince them that why are we allowed to provide crypto services in the European Union. And
they are not relying on the license issued by the central bank on the ESMA register, yeah?
I think I was naive, and I was under the impression that it would help, that you have a license from a regulator and you have all the passporting things. Apparently it did not, yeah? They even were getting their own legal opinions as well.
Yeah, and we provide it as well.
Yeah,
so it's a ridiculous thing, yeah.
So we are launching a lot of projects for our clients, and we will have a lot of interesting collaborations in 2026 with a lot of players on the market. So we love it. It's busy, super busy. We are we're understaffed as hell. We are looking at, we can run the operation well, but anything that's for growth and anything that's for new projects coming in, we are struggling from this aspect. So any new talent or any from talent pool, we're very open to speak and look at new colleagues to join our team.
Very good, yeah. If you were starting again today, would you do something differently?
I'm not sure I would do it.
At all?
No, I'm just talking about the core banking engine we have, yeah? It's not my PTSD, but still, I would, so my background, I'm a project and program manager by trade, and I think I have a pretty good understanding of complexity. And we put a lot of emphasis into talent management right from day one. And I think that was probably our top priority apart from compliance. And I would put a lot more emphasis in talent management, even though it was a strategic element, like finding good talents and locking them in. We don't have any senior colleague of ours in 8 years who's not with us. So people don't leave us.
Mm-hmm. So I will end our amazing discussion with one of my favorite questions asked by Nikolai in Good Company podcast. And what's your advice to young people? Overall, not only related to crypto or regulated business.
I think to get, and in today's world, we see it with, I would not like to be a 20-year-old today, because what's happening on the global scale with AI and on the employment market, I would not like to be in my 20s now. So make as much of your human contacts as you can, because that will determine your path down the track. So the more you're able to interact with people and the more you're able to cooperate with people, that will definitely determine your future, no matter what you think today. It doesn't matter whether you're introverted or extroverted, you will find your peer you can hang out with and work with, and that will help you build your career, I think. And that's definitely people underestimate the value of connections. No matter what personality you have, it will always work.
Thank you for amazing advice, and thank you for listening. And please enjoy TechChill further. So thanks
Thank
everyone.
you.